Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. About 10 years ago, and we were giving seminars in the other room, which is right behind this room. We had three gentlemen that before graduation ceremony, they came in, they wanted an appointment, special appointment. For some reason, they got it. Normally, they wouldn't. And they came back, and one was from Lebanon, living in Toronto. One was from Alaska, living in Switzerland. And one of them was Canadian and living in Toronto. The guy in Canadian and living in Toronto was a black guy. The guy from Lebanon, he was kind of high yellow or some shit anyway. And the guy from Alaska was white. And they came in with this bullet. And they signed a pact. Not a pact like when you get married in France, not that kind of pacts. Basically is a long document. And it was, it basically said if we don't become high performance people and go up there, we want you, and this is 50 caliber, which I used to have a 50 caliber, I don't have it anymore. And I want you to, because you could put one bullet through 3 heads easy. Okay. Now, I've had a lot of bullshit like that over 31 years. Like the 1 pound and up there. Anyway, so I didn't think anything of it. The Lebanese guys went to Iran to boil them up. Got thrown in jail, was in prison 7, 8 months. And he was not a world-class bodybuilder, but a big guy. 280, 290, 6-8% body fat. And he got used to hearing the other guys cry from being raped every night. And nobody ever touched him because he's a big guy. The black guy from Canada did the first or second weed deal when they legalized weed in 2017 and made $500 million. And has made at 42 gazillion since. And the guy from Alaska who lived in Switzerland had made some money, but not like the 500 million weed deal. But then, lo and behold, we're that seat in the back right-hand corner, as I look at it, I look up like I'm looking up this morning, and one of those 3 guys is sitting there. And somehow I either missed his name, I didn't connect the dots. But I've had this here since that day, 10 years ago. So I immediately pulled it up and I waved at him. And he was blasé and like he didn't understand what I was talking about. But I beat him like a fucking rented mule the whole week. The whole week. And even though I didn't have the 50 caliber anymore, I said, when are we going to set up the 50 cal? And it's like when we have kids here. We have some, you're all kids to me, but like when we have 12, 14, 15, 16-year-olds, they all come away with the same thing. When I ask them, what'd you think? He says, the adults all talk shit. It's like whose dick is bigger, and they haven't done shit. Now, I unfortunately have hearing that is supersonic. So I could hear some of the conversations, even though I was trying to pay attention to the guy I was sitting next to last night, and the young lady was sitting next to my wife. I overheard conversations at the 3 or 4 tables that were closest. Nothing's changed. Nobody in this room has done dick. Less than dick. I don't know what less than dick is, but I mean, you haven't done shit. And the bullshit has already started. And every night, the bullshit gets worse. Worse if you compare it to reality. So by graduation night, oh, you're all full of yourselves. Plus you've drank more because you know you don't have to do homework, blah, 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 blah. And that's just the way it is. And 25, 28, 29 years ago, it used to bother me. I mean, it still bothers me. And I always keep this as a reminder. The guy that did 500 million, who's up there, and then the other guys. And they were confident. When Marcus Bauer came through here the first time in 2010, and he's been through 7 times, and the 8th time he came through 2 or 3 years ago with his wife, his new wife, and he wanted his wife to experience the seminar. And so this was his 8th regular seminar, and he's gone through the hardcore, I think, twice maybe. And but the first night he was here in 2010, he wrote, he had the whole group, I think it was only 17 or 18, he wrote a pack. They were all agreed. Everybody signed in, didn't sign in blood, but what we were going to do the first 12 months out of this course. And needless to say, the only one that did what he signed up to was Marcus. The only one. And I haven't researched this, but I'm almost positive that to this day, 14 years later, the other guys that signed the pact haven't achieved what they were going to, 14 years cumulatively, haven't achieved what they said they were going to do the first year when they signed it, more or less in, virtual blood with Marcus. Talk's cheap. Even the kids in here that are 21, 22, 23 should be old enough, mature enough, worldly enough to understand talk's cheap. And that's why our system works so well. Because there is absolute tantamount responsibility, accountability associated with it. Because you're going to get weekly reports that you don't send to me anymore, like in the old days, but they're for you. And if you don't use them, you wasted your money here. And if you don't use a watered down version of them to the extent that you have employees, you wasted your money here. You did. Now, it's too early in the seminar for you meatheads to figure out who wasted their money yet. But by tomorrow this time, you will have figured it out. You will have figured it out. Because this is an accountable system. There's 73 or 74 questions on the weekly report. And when you don't do the thing that's required, you don't just say, I didn't do it. You're supposed to say, I cunted out. I cunted out. When you got 50, 60, 70, I cunted out, you wasted your money. That means you couldn't do it, whatever it was. Whatever it was, you couldn't do it. One of the most successful guys that come through the program in this was the 90s. He's a 90s guy. Convicted felon, blah, blah, blah. We've had double murderers. We've had all kinds of stuff. About a year after the seminar, Sally and I are walking down. We were just coming out of the Ritz, and he was just going into the Ritz Hotel in London. And I said, hi, how are you, Mr. Peña? Sally, you look great, blah, blah, blah. How are things going? He says, terrific. And I said, just for my edification, not that I feel any emotion about it, but what was the toughest thing? He said, when I blocked my mother on my cell phone, and the message that I'm going to tell you to leave on your phone, the way you get rid of all these people, is if you don't have my new number, you're not part of my new life, God bless, go fuck yourself. And he says, when my mother got that message, it broke her heart. Other than that, the program was easy. And he said, it's a lot easier than stealing, Mr. Peña. And he laughed because he had gone to jail for bank fraud. And some of you, like I say, I don't suffer from empathy or sympathy. Those are diseases to me. I just don't. And you'll better appreciate why. And we're going to talk a little bit about my wife's gift for me for my 79th birthday, which was 7 weeks ago or whenever it was, because normally celebrate the 80th birthday, which is my next birthday, but we have space on our agenda for my 80th birthday, so we won't be inviting 200 people. So maybe we'll be inviting 4. So she wanted to have, so we rented this big yacht. I didn't rent anything, Sally did. And you remember Lynch, the guy that got stuck, his yacht sunk off of Sicily? We were on the other side of Sicily at the same time. Same size boat. And but when I was on that boat, I was with guys that have known me, my next door neighbor from when I'm a little boy, to my kid brother, to a couple others that have known me 50, 60, 70 years. And apparently, I've been like this when I'm 5 years old. I had self-esteem when I'm 5. They say I was born with it, but that's not true. You're not born with it. And because I was raised by a dad that didn't have a dad, but we'll talk about that. And how, see, you're beyond being saved now in this room. For those of you that have kids that are less, that are 5, 6, 7, because self-esteem is built the first 7 or 8 years of life, they've got a chance. And for those of you that don't have kids, I would recommend don't have kids. The children experience is overrated, but it's for you saving somebody else because you're beyond. Doesn't mean you can't make a lot of money. Doesn't mean you can't be up there, but the harm is done. You can't. This isn't plastic surgery where you go get liposucked. This is the damage is done. We'll discuss the stuff that you saw last night later on in the day. And then, as I told you, over summer. Now, what's happened since the guy was there? He's done well, but he's not up there. The guy, the Lebanese guy, got out of jail and went back to his family business, as far as I know, in Canada. And the black guy is running towards the gunfire and killing everything in his way. I never thought that I'd ever see any of those guys again. But I keep this, not that I need a reminder. Talk's cheap. And the best intentions, the path to hell or to whatever your hell is laid with the best intentions. And the best intentions are normally, come out of your mouth without much thought. Now, it will become obvious to me by this afternoon whether you read the materials and the extra stuff like Succession and Billions and the programs, etc. Because I'll know based on your questions. It'll be easy for me to tell. And then, as I told you last night, I'll adjust where, if I think it's appropriate. Rarely do I not adjust the feed from these slides. Because normally, some of you are just more prepared than others. And it's not that we don't leave any man behind, that kind of thing. Because if I did that, then the seminar would be from now till April. If ever. Because some people just aren't capable of it. Doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't make you a weak person. Doesn't make you a cunt. So if a cunt's weak, then you are weak. But some people just can't do it. Can't pull the trigger. And not just pull the trigger. I'm going to show you, as I might have mentioned last night, since the last seminar, which was about 7, 8 weeks, 10 weeks ago? Yeah, something like that. We're going to go over some of the deals that I've been sent by the kids in this group for the last group like this, which was July, end of July, beginning of August. And there's some pretty good deals. A couple of the deals almost got them up there with one deal. But we'll go through them, and you'll see how they're structured. And most of them are structured exactly the opposite of I teach you. But you can still get deals done. If I wrote a book on what's the opposite of QLA, that's what you're going to do. And we're going to show 2 examples later on. The famous 60-40 model, which today, as far as I know, unless something got fucked up yesterday, we have not had a 60-40 deal fail. in the world since Corona. In the fucking world, including Texas. And then we're going to show you a real deal, which is kind of a conglomeration of what to do wrong, but you got the deal done. And that's how, you know why a river or a stream meanders? Because it goes to the softest place on the edge and it hits the rocks or whatever, and then it comes back. You will meander through the QLA program because you can't help yourself. And as I've told all the people that I talked to last night, the most important person in your life after your mother had you, when she shouldn't have, is your chairman. And most of you will, no matter how much coaching, mentoring, or whatever I give you, will miss on that. Because you're going to find somebody that you feel comfortable with. And that's just the opposite. It's the antithesis of what you should have. If you like me when you leave here, I did something wrong. I did something wrong. This is an alike deal. Any questions before we get started? Okay? Yeah. If you haven't turned off your phones, turn them off now. You're going to answer messages to the extent that you do that during the breaks. We don't have any real breaks. If you have to take a piss, you get up and go take a piss. If you get tired because the time change, etc., stand up. Don't stand up where you're sitting because that blocks the view. Go in the corner and stand up. That's fine. And so you'll be answering messages at lunchtime and when we're done today, 5:30-ish. Now, it's interesting to note, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, all the guys don't use their cell phones. You get emails on your cell phones. That's how stupid you are. I don't carry, I have 3 cell phones, but I only carry one now. But 30 years ago, because I wanted my kids to have the opportunity to call me toll-free, so I got a European toll-free number, a U.S. toll-free number, and an Asian toll-free number. In 30 years, I've received from my 3 children 0 phone calls. We finally closed down. I forget which one we closed down. We closed one of them down. 30 years. Not one phone call. Because when you call me, you have to have an agenda. If you don't have an agenda, and if you have 3 questions, you have to have 3 answers. You have to have 3 answers for every question you ask me. You have to have. And I instilled that in my kids. And so by the time my kids run through that exercise, they figured out their own problem. Not one phone call. And I would have never had emails on my phone no matter what. Okay. I was going to change the name of the seminar because you're really not high. You aspire to be high performance. That's where you are now. You aspire, you're not. Now, this seminar wasn't going to take place. And after I lost the election, resoundingly got my brains beat out, it proved up 2 of my favorite precepts. Number 1, you can never underestimate how wrong you can be. And I got 1.3% of the vote. So when you listen to the polls, for those of you that are Americans, one of the recent polls that came out was 70%. I'm sure I mentioned this last night for Trump. So, and having just gone through that where the numbers were way in my favor and having received only 1% of the vote, I'm not a big proponent of polls. But never underestimate how wrong you can be. One of the things that you're going to find a chairman who let's just pretend that you're gonna be able to check all the boxes, which we're gonna go through what boxes to check about this person. And then he makes a play to take your company away. For the young kids in the room, you'll be downtrodden at the minimum. For the older kids in the room, you'll be pissed off, but more pissed off because you judged poorly. In all the years I've been doing this, I've never had to replace one board member. Josh Kim went through 23 board members. 23. Before he finalized his board. I said last night, the board you start with is not going to be the board you finish with. 23. 3 chairmen, 3 CEOs, 3 CFOs. But what do you know at 17, 18? Nothing. At 22 or 23, what do you know? Nothing. For some of you at 55, what do you know? Fuck all. And it will become painfully obvious as you start the interviewing process. EJ, will you turn on thank you. This building is one of the 3 buildings in Scotland that's corona-proof because of the air conditioning system we have. By accident, serendipity, we have a commercial or buildings or some shit. Okay, bye YouTube.